Hello, everyone. I am Lauren from Action Coach Northwest, and we're so excited to have Nazira on the Business Spotlight podcast. So, Nazira, let's kick things off, and I would love to know how your business began.
Yes, thank you so much. So, Compassion Catering began in May of 2023, during kind of the middle end of COVID, during a really hard time with all industry folk just trying to find work. Um, I was really frustrated. I was working quite a few jobs at the time, and I started to just kind of search on the websites and things like that, just kind of like work and what that looks like. I know I was working at a few different restaurants and noticed the need for allergy friendly catering and not
Mhm.
even catering in general, but just like meals. And we didn't really have much to offer. And so I started to kind of search around and ask around on why. And a lot of it was just cost. It's expensive to um, have different ingredients and whatnot. And it's hard, it's a risk. And so, obviously, during this time, I was also getting stronger in my faith. So I never really like trusted in, I trusted in God, but didn't really like in work. I didn't think that was a thing. So I also was trying to be more intentional with my like faith and things. And working in the restaurant industry was really hard with the drinking, the late nights, and the late night shifts and things. So it was also something that I really loved hospitality, but also praying on how can I still do this without the burden and the stress of what comes with it. And so I do think it was an answered prayer. I did have a partner at the time who was assisting a bit with Compassion Catering and kind of helped evolve and found it with some great ideas. He no longer is working with Compassion Catering any longer. He decided to go more into cooking, teaching cooking classes at the Kitchen Engine, which is really cool. So he found really what he
Cool.
wanted to do, but he was definitely supportive and definitely was a part of founding Compassion Catering with like logoing and the name and things like that. So that's kind of just how it started, how it initially like came to birth.
That's amazing. And then I am curious, what got you into allergy-friendly food in particular?
Yes, so I love parties, I love cooking, I love people. And one thing, Nick, who was definitely working with me in Compassion Catering at the time, he also had the same vision. He's an amazing chef. And I think two people coming together during COVID to keep things alive, it was really fun. So we started partnering with other friends. Like there was friends who had a birthday party or, you still couldn't really go out to restaurants. You could, but I mean, it was a risk.
Yeah.
And so we started dinner parties. And we really collaborated really well and started like very safely making sure people gathered. People that we had friends who were to come along had allergies I never even thought were like still a thing or that were that serious. So just getting to know my
Oh,
friends and family, like sesame seed oil, little things that like, hey, what kind of barbecue sauce did you use on the meat, or what kind of like pepper? And I'm like, just the one from the store. And then looking at the ingredients, like, oh my gosh, my friends can't even have that. And I thought it was gluten free, and so it was stressful in a fun way. So first round, some friends couldn't even eat anything that we cooked.
oh wow.
And then so it's like Nick and I had a really great, we partnered really well together with Flavor Profile, him being really good at just teaching me a lot of different things with how to chop things, and my flavor profile really came together. And so we were starting to come up with different ideas, menu items, and then it just got bigger. Someone's like, hey, can you do our graduation? His cousin had a graduation, and that was like 20 people. And I was like, I didn't realize how hard that was.
Yeah.
And then there were some allergies. And so just scratch making everything. And then it came to a point where, like, do I quit my job? Because I can't do both. And also the last one that we did, it was like $900 out of pocket. And obviously credit cards were used, but it was
Yeah.
like, um, and then they paid us and they're like, well, let's pay you. And it's like, oh, you want to pay for our services. So then someone's like, hey, are you licensed with the health department to do this? So it was just like kind of a natural flow of, oh, there's another step. So it was just step after step, and I really do believe God was in it because it was just provision after provision. And then started to take some business classes online and worked with the community. I think Ursula with WSBU. It's
Oh,
the Washington State. They have a business advisor program for free, grant based. And so we were able to get in with that and then starting to build a business plan and do all the necessary steps in education and getting all the appropriate certifications to be able to be qualified to be in a kitchen and learning all that. So the unfun stuff.
oh yes, sounds about right. Oh, that's amazing. And by the way, for our listeners, her food is so good. I've had one of her meals catered, and yeah, it was amazing. So, kind of, I mean, you've touched on this a little bit, but if you had to start from square one in business, what would you do differently?
Ooh, this is a
I
hard,
know.
honest one. Honestly, and to begin with, I didn't know I was going to be starting a business.
Yeah.
I would never recommend anyone to. But if you have a passion, definitely go with it because that's what is going to keep you going, is the heart behind it and what makes you you and unique to do it. So I never would start it just for the intent of to make more money or anything like that. What I would personally do differently, it was during a COVID time, so I have to give myself some grace, but or just being more intentional about who you do it with, I
Yes.
guess, and knowing nothing can be forever. So just having a backup plan, I guess. Losing a partner was definitely hard during the middle of our first and second year of business, but by the grace of God, he definitely brought some other people in that place. Really just being intentional and maybe having my vision plan a little bit further out than just 6 months to a year, like a 5 year and a 3 year. Now I have it, but I didn't have it right away. I just kind of ran with it. So
Amazing. And then what has been one of your biggest lessons as an employer since you began your business?
money talks. I mean, yes, you can have faith, but you also need to be doing the work. And so it's definitely a fine line of learning marketing. That's one thing I'd say all business owners should learn is marketing, even if you aren't in it, but advertisement, learning how to stretch your funds, learning how to have separate bank accounts for your taxes, making sure you're setting those apart. There's a lot more than just cooking when you are owning a business. There is the aspect of making sure you're in charge of the finances, the quarterly taxes, and just staying updated on those things. So having a lot of fun. I love it and I wouldn't change it now. But if I knew what I was getting myself into, I probably would just sign up for a 9 to 5 with the 501(k) salary.
That's so real. And then kind of leaning into that, what are some common misconceptions about running a business and how do you address them?
Again, number one misconception, like some of my friends, when they know that I own a business, they instantly basically want you to pay for the check, right? Or, oh my gosh, you've got so much money. That's so exciting. And it's actually the opposite. You have more liability. So
Oh
you
yeah.
have assets, you have things that you're paying for. You have a building that you're renting or owning, So there's a lot more liability to that. So just because you have some income coming in or you've got your payroll all paid off, you've got your monthly bills, you still need to be saving. I believe you still need to have an accrual inside and as of right now, that's a struggle, especially when you have a high cost of goods sold. So for restaurant, I believe that the reason with the allergy friendly concept was kind of turned away is the cost of goods sold. You want to be 30% or below your cost of goods sold. And we're right now at a 45, almost a 50, which is in a danger, definitely a bright orange. I wouldn't say red though. So
Yeah.
again, now you have to get your profits up or, your sales up. So even though you want to be passionate and compassionate, there is still always that business line of making sure that income is coming in, your employees are paid, and that marketing tactic and learning that will definitely help with that.
Nice. And then you've done so much in the first couple of years. What do you attribute your growth to?
Obviously, the Lord. I'm so sorry. I have to make sure that God, because it's a lot of praying and crying. But also the community. I love Spokane. I love the Northwest. I love our community when it comes to small business. Simba, um, so Simba, which is the business association, Live Local, they put a lot of things on there. Um, What else? Sway, Spokane Wedding and Events Association. There's so many different meetings. The F Bomb group that meets at 7 a.m. at the Boots Bakery, like the women, who support women. There's just so much out there in the community. If it wasn't for those groups that I've plugged into, I don't know I would be also where I am today, alongside with the prayer and God leading me to those groups. And so we have such a strong community here, and I'm really impressed. I'm never alone, like physically and spiritually, and so I really love the way Spokane is working through. There's so many groups on Facebook. You can go on Food Finders, and there's always someone, you know, pointing us out there. I just love the community. I love the groups. I love how Spokane works with small business.
Yeah, no, it's something I love about this area too. All right, so kind of going off of all of that, how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business?
Oh, I love this. Now I can answer this with a smile. It
Good.
definitely took some learning. Um, and so, like I said, started off in a strong partnership, um, ended out until work do us part, right? But also faith. So I really do believe God allowed me to do this because it got me closer to Him. Honestly, I was very complacent and very comfortable. I was making a lot of money as a bartender at Dry Fly. I loved my job. I was doing cocktail classes. I loved working there. And then I started working in catering there. I started working in catering with TT's Barbecue and with Chad White's barbecue places. And so that was really fun. However, and then transitioning from working like entrepreneur style, just everyone's restaurant, to burning out, to starting my own catering, and then losing my partner and all that, I realized I was a workaholic,
Mm,
and my faith also wasn't grounded, so my energy and all that stuff was depleted, and it almost led to then wanting to drink a little bit more or things like that to suppress the depression of feeling lonely. Because at my age, I'm 29, there's not there is a lot of people in business, but there isn't always a wide range at our age. And so
oh,
um yeah, how I align with that is I attend church. I make sure that I put God first, and make sure I trust Him and ask Him. At the end of the day, I've done it without it. It was very humbling to realize that, I'm not perfect. It wasn't just my go to. It was definitely God putting me in business to see that I have to rely on Him for everything, my provision, the times when a client cancels and there's no hope. God has definitely come through. I have employees this year. It's my first year, and just trusting who to hire. I dog sit, during the winter breaks because it's definitely a seasonal job, but I'm trying to make Compassion Catering year round with corporate lunches and things during the midweek. So I make sure that I have other work. So definitely an entrepreneur. I dog sit. Um, I work at the gym at Inland Northwest Gymnastics as a gym coach on Tuesdays, just for like an hour once a week, just to make sure I'm getting my exercise and still get to enjoy hanging out with kiddos. I attend the gym in the morning, so I try to make sure that I'm working out, and making sure I incorporate that. If I can incorporate my faith, my exercise, my fitness, and my leisure time, then it's not worth doing, or I'm spending too much time in business. So that way, I have a certain time I clock in and definitely clock out, but I still keep my phone near. So, with definitely during brides and wedding season, but making sure I'm not overly working. I definitely have to make sure I have a schedule for myself and still make time for Mondays and Tuesdays. I have a wiggle room to still meet with coffee with gals, friends, dates in case someone wants. I always incorporate at least once a week a little room in case someone wants to ask me on a date. It has not
oh
happened
my
yet,
gosh.
but you know what I mean? I have to. So I realized that I worked way too much. So faith, fitness, and family. So praying for my family because I don't have that yet, but I have my faith and I have my fitness, and then work definitely incorporates that as well.
I love that. That's so cool. All right. Well, you mentioned you have your first employees. What qualities do you look for in them, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment?
Oh yes. Thankful for Chat GTP. Definitely helped me. And I use ADP for our payroll services. And so they have a free HR and employee handbook. So I did some of their classes on there. And then catering software, which is a program that we purchased. I have not launched it yet because I have employees now, so I haven't had time to work on it. But they also have a lot of software and free videos. And then also QuickBooks. We use QuickBooks for our bookkeeping. They also have a lot of free videos and tutorials on employees. So self-educated, obviously, when it comes to that, but I've taken a lot of time during that off season after Christmas in 2024 to just learn, how and what to look for. And so at Compassion Catering, we're pretty lenient. Obviously, we're not working in the kitchen. We don't have to work around a lot of people, so we have a safe environment. So my prayer has changed about who and what to look for, just from a generalized perspective. At first, it was like hardworking, background check, all these things, but I realized. Obviously putting God in that. I want to be able to give people a second chance and availability. I've also come from a pretty hard time again, from working in restaurant. So we have an open door policy. I don't allow drinking on the job or anyone to come in influenced. So that's just a no-go. Um, I'm not your friend, I'm your boss, so language, foul language, I just really don't tolerate that. I know that's pretty much accepted in kitchens, but we want a safe environment because I have a lot of people who are working, who are coming from the culinary schools now. We
Oh,
have an intern, yeah, who's coming from a culinary school. And so, you know, there's no age limit, but I want to make sure there's a safe environment for those the next generation coming in, that you can work a kitchen job, you can work in hospitality without having a background of imprisonment or alcohol, although those things are accepted. But the next generation, let's raise them up to be able to do hospitality and change that. I want to be able to have livable wages for employees, but with hospitality it's lower because it tends to employ the lesser than, which I just want to change that. And I don't know how, but I'm praying about it. So that way this is an actual job. It's just not a placeholder for those who are in transition.
I love that. That's so cool. And then looking ahead, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And do you have any advice for other business owners looking to grow their business?
Yeah, so in 5 years, that's a big number, but I do have a vision board. And then I do leave room for God's will, obviously, because my vision isn't where I would be. Um, but I'm okay. And so um eventually, our own space would be nice. There's just different things, like a restaurant could be an idea. Catering, like partnering with a new venue who'd want us to lock in, because again, it's pretty gappy with not being locked in a certain spot. So we love, right now we partner and we do a lot of private residence. So we're working with private homes. We do weddings, a lot of weddings that are on the lakes, on private property. So it's really fun. We're
Ooh,
really inclusive. We get to hit the areas that the venues don't. So we don't really clash with anyone. However, it would be nice to maybe have like a second location where we have a area where it's locked in at a venue, or in a, maybe like a restaurant or brunch spot. So not like really just honing into one of those, but something like that where it's consistent. Someone can come to that location. We get a lot of requests. Hey, where can I come in to have lunch, or that? And so we would love something like that, maybe a DBA, but then that way our kitchen can then operate in that spacing as well. So not only would it be a set location, then the other catering that goes out, it would be able to be all in one. So that revenue would be kind of, I think it would help. And then, yeah, having full-time employees, being able to have a good salary for them that is a livable wage, and then for myself as well. And to be able to work with nonprofits, so have a donation base, so like at the restaurant or location that people can come in and order. Profits and donations go towards nonprofits for their own catering, to like for auctions and things like that
yeah.
for the nonprofits. Because we work with nonprofits and we do have to charge net cost right now. But how great would it be that the money that the reason why the catering is charged the way it is because it's also going back to the community to be able to give out catering towards those events that are working towards the helping captives. There's a lot of, to save, to stop sex trafficking, to, feed the people in Uganda or things like that. And so, Spokane, there's a lot of nonprofits, and I know they still have to pay a lot to get those events to get people to come. And food is one of the big things that gets people to buy a ticket. And so, we'd love to kind of change that atmosphere around where we could just offer it, for a 50-person auction. And so that is definitely an availability of trying to give back to the community with that food in that way. So there's just a lot of ideas right now. From here to the 5 year is working on, getting to a 250,000 gross, because that is what will make that happen right now. We're almost at 100. We're very low at that 88 last year. So that was a big deal. So honestly, being honest with my numbers, it's very
Yeah,
humbling. But that is the thing. It's not for me to be successful per se. I'd like to be in the way of what God is doing for kingdom operations. So drawing people closer to good quality food, making sure their gut is feeling good. We're not using any preservatives. We're able to continue and not change our ingredients and not change and lower our cost of goods sold just to be able to make a payroll. So that is our dream and vision.
I love that. And then last up, what question should I be asking you that I haven't yet?
um, wow. That's a
No
hard one.
hesitation.
I guess what we could see change, I don't know. What we hope for, I guess, I don't
Yeah,
know. We are quite struggling in a, I guess, a healthy way. And so I guess what could change is just getting our name out there. How do we get our name out there? We really
yeah.
need it. I'm surprised on how many people still don't know. But I also am surprised on how many people do know. We just won Best Caterer, third place, second year
I
in the
heard.
Inlander. So at the best of reader poll. So obviously that always amazes me. It shocks me, but it doesn't also with how much our clients and our customers love it. So it would be cool to get more involved in the community, but again, that costs money. So I just want to get our name out there. I really appreciate this podcast because this is a step further. But just to let people know who we are and why we do what we do. So that way we can really, be universal. So
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time. Everyone, be sure to check out Compassion Catering. We'll have their links below and come back for more episodes.